Well, welcome Eastgate Church family and friends. We want to welcome you to another Keeping It Real with Rick and Lisa. And we've been married 38 years, and we're just kind of sharing some of the things we've learned because we've had a pretty good marriage, haven't we?
I think so.
You think so? You better so.
Yes, we've had a great marriage.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not twisting your arm there, yeah. All right, so we just been sharing different things that we think are vital for your marriage to be healthy, and that's what we just want our church filled with healthy people or healthy marriages. It's a God thing. So last week we talked about protecting your marriage. That's a good one. You should go back and watch that. One of the things we talked about was sensing distance, and when you sense distance, you better deal with that. And it's a hard thing to describe, but you're just not feeling connected. And I think a lot of you know what I mean. You just don't want to end up being strangers in the house together. So one of the ways that we would deal with distance is communicating, learning to communicate, to sit down and talk. So this week, we're talking about communication in marriage. What say ye?
I don't want to talk about it.
Aren't you the funny one?
Well, no, you have to communicate. You have to have an open communication, because if you don't, your marriage is going to have some serious issues.
Yeah. I'm going to read you a part of a verse. This is in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. And it says, likewise, you husbands, or you could say wives, dwell with them according to knowledge or understanding. One version says to have a intelligent recognition of the marriage relation. So marrying somebody, I mean, there's a lot to learn, you know, and if you're going to learn things obviously together and grow as a couple, there's going to have to be some talking, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be some communicating. So there's so many areas where we have to talk. Finances, you know, make sure we're on the same page there. Her needs, my needs. You like to buy stuff.
I mean, that's, yeah.
It's a need. Anyway, there's this box outside, by the way.
I got it already.
Yeah. So, yeah. Kids, raising kids, making sure you're on the same page. We're going to talk about that at some point. We really struggled there. Intimacy. You have to talk about these things, you know. Just doing life together. I mean, obviously, we could go on and on about ways that we as a husband and wife need to communicate, but the point is we have to learn to talk to each other. So, one of the things we were talking about is the difference between men in general and women as far as being chatty. So the word on the street is that generally women are just much more talkative and men are just kind of quiet. What would you say about that?
You're the chatty Cathy. I am not chatty. In fact, sometimes I'm like, are you done yet?
Yeah, I have sensed that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, kind of get into the old man chattery thing.
No, I love it when you talk, but sometimes...
Yeah. Yeah, you know, some men would say, man, you are one blessed dude, Rick Dorn. So maybe I am, but generally speaking, the wives like to talk a lot in some cases, and the men are just kind of quiet, and we get that.
I don't talk much, but when I do, I want you to listen.
Yeah. And there's times you need me to be an ear, no question. And listen, I'm going to make sure... There's nothing wrong with being quiet. As a matter of fact, if both of you are just talking all the time, it's hard, right? It's good that one maybe is a little quieter than the other. It makes it work, you know. There's nothing wrong with being a quiet person. But I do want to kind of change this topic a little bit. As a pastor, and as specifically as a man that's dealt a lot with men's purity issues, I have found there's a lot of men that the reason they're quiet is not just because they're naturally quiet, it's because they have trauma. I have heard, we're not going to have enough time to discuss all this, but I'm just talking to you wives. some of you probably have husbands that you wish would talk more, and they probably wish they could, but they've been traumatized. Stuff happened in their childhood, and they have just learned to protect their hearts. Even with their wives. I deal with men. I hear their stories of really sensitive nature, and I see how hard it is for them to verbalize what's really in their heart. And so,
don't you think for some men it's just not in their nature? They're just not real talkative.
Well, that's what I'm talking
so
about.
I guess you have to work on that. That would be difficult.
Well, that falls under the line of some people are just more quiet, but I'm specifically talking about. See, because you're not dealing with a traumatized husband, but there are men out there that I have personally seen. They just struggle talking, and it's not just because they're quiet. They are traumatized, and they built up walls. And they have a hard time even talking to their wives. Yeah. So what do I say about that? I said, you need to recognize it. If you're traumatized, let me tell you something. This works with women too. Now, we talked a little bit. What does a traumatized woman look like sometimes, Lisa, with communication?
Oh, they talk. They're trying to validate themselves.
What?
I think they talk so much. You can clearly see they're trying to validate themselves. They want approval. They're seeking approval.
They're insecure. They're hurting. Talk, and it just speaks to me of trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, husbands and wives, and I say specifically you wives, if you want your husband to talk more, that it could be he's struggling with some pain, and say, you need to talk. Y'all need to pray about it, and hopefully he can, or the wife needs to own up to the fact, I'm struggling with things from my past that happened, and so maybe you need to talk to someone else, get your pastor or help somehow, and discuss some of these things that have happened. That's what our men's purity groups do a lot of. So I just want to say then, there's so much. That's a pretty deep subject. I get it. But I do want your wives to understand that it may not be that he's just super quiet. He just doesn't know how, and he needs help. So, but at the same time, guys, you married into this, and women generally, I got blessed, but generally they like to talk. And so you need to give them an ear. They want to hear that. And let me tell you also, guys, they want to hear your heart. They want you to be honest about what you are really feeling on the inside. So that's part of learning this marriage recognition. Amen. Being able to talk to each other. I so encourage you to just keep talking to each other, and don't let a wall of distance form between you and the one you love. Amen.
Amen.
Well, it's always a joy and a treat to be able to share with you guys, and we'll be at church Sunday, and we will see you next